Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Welcome to another fine Wednesday morning. Welcome to another coffee break chat. I am your host, James Jackson, executive producer, Light Beef Productions, he, they pronouns. I'm not actually sure your music was working there. Something I'm going to have to take a look at in post production here. I don't know what changed. But hey, I do shows all the time, so sometimes things change and I don't realize it, and then I'm screwed when when it comes to the actual show that I like to do. At any rate, welcome to the coffee break chat. It's a fine Wednesday here in the city of Philadelphia. We've got a lot of great stuff for you. What do they want? The anti-CRT, anti-Vax, anti-social folks, what do they want? We're going to talk about messages on clothes, vaccine mandates, Dana Chanel, and we're also going to talk to our special guest, Styx Latte, host of Mystic Drums and Electric Latte Land. He's not on screen yet, but he thinks he is. No big deal. We'll bring him on in a minute. And let's see, what else do we got? We'll have some of our normal guests. Charles Graham is already in the standby. And we'll have all of that for you and more. Just to get started, it's a constant frustration of mine. People are a constant frustration of mine. And the this week's chat is brought to you by people frustrating me. What do they want? When you're anti-vax, anti-CRT, anti-social, and anti-socialism, what is it that you want? I mean, I have my theories, and those theories are supported by a few examples. But we'll get into that in a little bit. Um, and it's interesting because then you have people now in government who are members of this kind of crew of folks that do this stuff for a living, that basically are their only job in life seems to be anti everything. So yeah, one guy that's not anti everything and a friend of the show and a good person in general is our friend Styx Latte. I'm going to bring him up on screen momentarily, but apparently I had the wrong screen selected. All right, there we go. And welcome to the show, Styx. Please introduce yourself, your pronouns, what it is you do. Oh, hold on a second. I can't hear. They can't hear you, I don't think. I don't know what's going on with my audio this morning. I hear you. It's just the audience can't hear you. Let's see. Output. Great. That people can't hear you? Well, they can imagine you in their underwear. What? Wait, hold on. I'm lost. All right. So we've got you guys. We've got you. We've got you there. I don't understand why I'm not getting you on the output. Let me switch your output to select a speaker. I will output you on. Do doobie doo.
Doobie doo. Doobie doobie doo.
All right. Looks
Because
like
it's
they
the
can hear you
internet,
now, but
folks.
now I can't hear you.
You
So
can
let's
wait.
turn
They can
that
hear me.
off.
Hi everyone. It's the internet. James is
And
doing a wonderful job.
I don't know
Don't
what
feel
is
bad
going
about it.
on with my software
Now
this
you can
morning.
hear me,
It
and
is
he can't.
not running well. So, folks
Ooh.
on the internet, you can hear Styx while I'm working on this. Styx, why don't you introduce yourself, your pronouns, what it is you do? I can't hear you, but I can see your subtitles. So we'll go with
Oh,
that, and
that's
we'll
pretty
move on
convenient.
from there.
Okay, cool. Well, hi everybody. My name is Martin. People call me Styx Latte. I'm a drummer. My last name's Coffee, so that's how I got that name. Yeah, I know. It's the silliest drummer nickname you ever heard of. But you have heard of me. So, I'm here on the set of my favorite show right now. Mystic Drums is a world music safari adventure, and that's kind of what started my foray into green screens. You can see a beautiful, well, you can't see a beautiful green screen because I chroma keyed it out. A lot of people were stuck at home during the pandemic. I'm one of those people, so I thought, well, okay, I could sit around and mope, or I could do something productive. This is a show that's been going on for since the late '90s, actually, in Toronto. So I'm a franchised performer, but we had to change it up and go digital because of the pandemic. So basically, I had some help from a friend of mine setting up various computers, setting up a green screen, learning how to set the green lights just right, and we were able to launch the first virtual Mystic Drum show in August of 2020. So that was pretty close, pretty early on in the pandemic. And they've been somewhat regular. We've had a few a month, all the way up till the end of this August. Now we're in a bit of a lull. I think people don't want to believe they need it. So it's time to pick up the phone again and say, hey, come back, do some more. That's always part of it. So that actually led into my band, Swing That Cat. Now here's why you should always wait in the autograph line. I was at Squirrel Nut Zipper's show, waiting for Jimbo to sign my new record, and there's Chris and Michelle Perino right next to me, and Chris is saying, "Oh yeah, this is my wife Michelle. We have a swing band. She plays, she sings. I play guitar." And I said, "Oh, a swing band, huh? How healthy is your drummer?" Well, 3 days later, I got a phone call. They're like, "Oh yeah, our drummer kind of had a meltdown at practice. Do you want to audition?" Yes, I do. So that was 2017. Fast forward a couple of years to this Valentine's Day of 2021. Michelle said, "Hey, you know what? I like what you're doing with this Mystic Drum show. Let's do a virtual show with Swing That Cat." I said, "Great, cool." So Chris had a bunch of GoPro cameras, and you know, they're not new; they're Hero 4s. You know, and now I've got like 10 of them around the house, but they worked. They did the job. So we had stations, you know, trying to isolate because we're still in COVID times, right? We used the top floor and the bottom floor of my house. And Michelle saw the tie-dye tapestry behind my drum set, and she's like, "Oh no, not for a swing band." So she started ordering green screens, and I started ordering green screens. Now we got one behind the drum set, one behind the bass player, and 24 foot long in what used to be my dining room, which I don't really feel I need anymore, in favor of having a home theater. That's a lot more exciting. So got rid of the furniture, had the band show, worked pretty successfully actually, and then the Rotunda picked it up as a format. So we've been doing almost every month a monthly band show with some of our top acts from the Rotunda. I've been working there since 2011 as a live sound engineer, and my band, the Hydrogen Jukebox, played there way back in the day, like 2001, 2003, 4, I think. So it's a long-standing relationship, and now I kind of feel like, okay, well, the Rotunda's got my dining room on retainer, and Mystic Drums has my living room on retainer, and I still get to keep my kitchen. And the basement, well, okay, that's always been my recording studio since we moved in here. So it's a full tracking room. We're using a Midas M32. A lot of venues are using that. Great sounding preamps. And basically, you know, audio and video land in an average computer in the living room that I was using to watch TV. Separate input cards, and now here we have it. That's piped out into the Zoom meeting, and I'm here to tell the tale. So thank you, James, by the way. One of an extremely long list of people I have to thank for getting me here to this moment today. So thank you for having me on, and also inspiring me, giving me some good kicks in the right direction, some technical consulting most recently. So, yeah, there you have it. Welcome to Electric Latte Land. This is what I call my studio.
The entire house is what you call your studio.
Pretty much.
And it is Electric Latte Land, and you have like a billion things that you're doing, so that's awesome. Appreciate you joining us this morning. Looks like I'm having, for some reason, trouble routing to my my wireless headset, but that's why we have wired backups so that we can just plug into that.
I
Um,
do love wires and gadgets.
Wires and gadgets are good. It sucks when they don't work right. That's the problem. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I mean, we could get on off onto like a weird technical conversation for all those folks that do like us and produce live content on the internet. But yeah, I don't know how interesting that is for everyone. Um,
Well, it all started with Lionel trains for me. It was experiments in electricity and magnetism and soldering irons at age 7.
yeah.
And that eventually led to messing around with the stereo, trying to hook up my Nintendo to hear the sound better, and then
I think
that
mine
eventually.
started with wooden blocks and actual nails. So like I had access to my grandfather's workbench, and like
Nice.
they didn't mind if I used like things that are dangerous for kids. Like nowadays, you'd probably be arrested for letting me play with hammers and nails and stuff. But
Oh yeah. No, my grandfather too. He was an engineer, so he insisted on us playing with hammers and nails.
yeah, yeah. There is no good segue to get into today's topics from Electric Latte Land. Other than I suppose I suppose there is actually a segue, and I apologize for ham fisting my segues all the time, but I would think that the segue is interesting is that you are now in space. But
We're flying the friendly skies.
yeah, the interesting segue is that you're doing these shows to help people be socially distanced, help people still be entertained, get their entertainment in, even though they're socially distanced and whatnot. Um, what drives you? I mean, I know what drives me, but what drives you to want to help people, have that option, to maintain social distancing, help them, uh,
I
be part of a
honestly,
social.
I just wanted to hear children laughing again. Was like the thing that was driving me nuts. Is like there's a small list of things that are really broken about this world. All of a sudden, it's April of 2020. It's July of 2020, and I'm like, how am I supposed? You can't really connect with an audience of 2 to 10 year olds on Facebook. Like, hey, let's be friends. I think your kids are cute. Yeah, that's gonna go great, isn't it? No, and I mean, I have managed to nurture a few friendships in that way, but on the whole, like, you can't reach out the way you do with band promotions. Like, Swing That Cat, we're all over Facebook, but um, so it's like, well, how do I connect with my crowd again? And so Lorne Lampert is the director for Mystic Drums. It's his program. He wrote the shows. He's based in Toronto. He had a summer camp that he developed it at. So he's given each of us as franchise performers instruments and scripts, and we just basically go in and deliver. We deliver the show. We're the actors. We're the face of it, And so he lost enough business throughout the pandemic that he's down to about a tenth of the performers, and we had him worldwide. We went as far as Thailand, Canada, Mexico, several in the States, Montreal, and Toronto. So now it's he's doing a few shows, and JD Katz is doing a few shows, and I'm doing shows in Philly, somewhat with regularity. But JD was the other guy that was setting up a virtual show, so he kind of had his, like, JD does work in the casinos. Like you and I didn't even mention, we do stagehand work. We do all sorts of production behind the scenes. It's less interesting to talk about, but corporate audio, video staffing, and backline gigs at the casino and camera work and stuff like that you just do for pay. So those things are always part of it. Um, Running in the background. I think I might have got a little sidetracked there, but get me back on track. What was your
Well,
actual
I mean,
question?
so you're missing. Here's the thing. Everybody, misses
Oh,
hearing children laughing. Everybody
I know what it
misses
was. Yes,
social
it was
interaction.
what was driving me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the sound of children's laughter, and not knowing if we were going to be able to do this again. So I took all that experience and some advice from an invisible parrot on my shoulder, we'll call him, because he doesn't want credit for it. But I figured out how to set this thing up in my living room so I could just connect with my crowd again. Like I invested a bit too, so it's not like I made gobs and gobs of cash on this. I was able to build a new system, and it was worth it because I knew it could be a while before it actually paid off. It was worth it just to be able to do the show and say, no, look, people, have this determination. There is light at the end of this tunnel. There is. I'll show you where the light is. Hold on. I hit it in the last scene here. Where are we? Yeah, there we go. There's the light right there. That's the light at the end of the tunnel. And you can't just give up because we're stuck at home. We're not stuck. This is a sabbatical. This is a chance to improve our lives. This is a chance to do things differently now. So, all right. Yeah, let me hear some kids laugh. Like, I just want someone yelling at me when I try to convince them that this is a circle.
Right.
It's the most fun you can possibly have, trying to convince a group of kids that this thing's called a circle. And, I couldn't do that. So I guess that's part of what drove my madness here. That and being alone in the house.
So, I mean, well, sure, and I guess what I'm asking is, so your solution was, hey, I don't have this social interaction. Let me do this in a responsible way. Let me connect with people online so we can all maintain social distancing, etc. Why that solution for you? There's people out here who are like, oh no, this won't do. We need to get kids back in school right now, whether or not they catch a deadly disease.
Uh, you got to be able to have it both ways now, because even as the Rotunda's able to have shows again, but we're limited to 50 people. So I kind of have my old job back, but now we're thinking, well, we got to live stream everything. So Gina Renzi's the director, and she and I have been co-conspiring this whole time. We're like, well, what can we set up at my house where there's no one around to like kick us off the lawn or tell us any bureaucratic rules, and we'll just develop the system here, and then what can we just move over to the Rotunda when it's ready? So I think, there's going to be these what we call hybrid events, and there's more corporate AV work doing that stuff too, because now we've got the audio tech, the video tech, and the Zoom tech. So there's more jobs to be done. It doesn't matter, like, if there's no crowd in the room, I don't care. I'll go and do those jobs. So this way, because of this experience, we're able to take that out to, maybe more mundane things, business meetings, but it's what makes the world go around. And it gives people the consciousness of like, oh, this is normal. And by the way, this was normal on Star Trek in the late 60s. This is the world we were promised by sci-fi. There's no reason we shouldn't be doing this. Why did it... Marty McFly Jr. would be jealous of what we're doing. I remember him watching 6 TV shows at once in Back to the Future 2, and that was 2015, so we're actually a little behind schedule.
Yeah, a little bit. I'm going to welcome to the screen Charles Graham, one of our regular guests. Hey, Charles, would you introduce yourself, your pronouns, what it is you do?
Charles Graham, he, they, software developer in the Philadelphia area.
Awesome. And Charles is just one of our regular guests, so feel free to jump in anytime you have anything that you want to chime in on. So the reason why I bring up like your motivations is that we do have a litany of people who are like anti-vaccine, so even in our industry, even in the corporate AV support industry, even in an industry that is reliant on, in the entertainment industry, in the industries that are reliant on people gathering together in large numbers in a small space, we have people who are kind of anti-vaccine. And that is a bit confusing to me. I was actually posting in a forum for AV hires. Somebody posted they're available, but that they're not vaxxed and they're never going to be. And like their reasoning for not being vaccinated is medical. They apparently have an issue with blood, an existing issue with blood clotting. So their doctor's advice is different than our doctor's advice, and so they're following their doctor's advice, and that's reasonable. But then you had all the people who are just anti-vax for no particular reason jumping onto the same thread saying, yeah, go for it, you're awesome, blah, blah, blah. Um, I don't understand that mentality. I don't understand being anti-vax just for the sake of being anti-vax. I don't know. Maybe one of you guys has an insight into it. Is there some sort of reasoning that you can figure for that position? No. Okay.
Well, there's a small percentage of reasons that I suppose deserve attention, but those probably aren't the actual issue. I think the issue is people are believing what they want to believe and going with their feelings as opposed to going with facts and science. I feel like, you know what, there's a Doctor Who quote from the 70s that really hits the nail on the head. He said, I'm not wild about computers, but they are a tool, and if you have a tool, it's stupid not to use it. I don't like needles. I don't like untested medical science. I chose for the Johnson & Johnson because it's an older technology that's tried and true. My personal opinion is it worked, and I think it helped me process an exposure scare without any real symptoms. But I can't tell you that for sure with quantifiable data. I have a cousin who works in clinical trials in the pharmaceutical industry, and I basically said, well, what's your take on all this? And she said, this is vaccine tested science since World War II. But she said, I'm not letting my son get the mRNA virus vaccine, rather, because there's not enough data yet on how it affects the unborn children of people who get that vaccine today. She said she didn't think there's any actual cause for alarm, but the fact that there wasn't data meant that she would rather, for her son, choose the older style. Now, I have my own reasons. Some other people close to me have their own reasons for preferring Johnson & Johnson's vaccine. It's like, you have to make your own antibodies instead of being given the answer. So
Well, the mRNA makes your own antibodies too. The mRNA doesn't do anything different. All the mRNA does is it cuts the genome of the virus at a specific point so that it's only producing the physical characteristics of the exterior of the virus that your body then recognizes as an invasive thing, rather than the Johnson & Johnson one is basically a neutered virus. But yeah, I mean,
Well, I mean, you can pick your poison is the thing. Like there are options. You don't necessarily have to get a booster if you think that. I think, well, I already got one and I'm fine. Let's get a booster. Fine. But the real way to get to the bottom of it is with collecting the data. There are going to be side effects. There are going to be some cases where somebody got really sick or even died and we don't know why. And is it a coincidence or not? You got to collect that data to find out. And the more we do that, the safer it'll be to say, oh, maybe we can work this with kids. But there's still a year-long clinical trial process. Now we also have Delta variant. Well, we need new vaccines for that. Well, it's going to be longer before we get that to the kids. And to me, kids having vaccines is a turning point to whether I can go back to daycares and summer camps full time to do my show.
No, I mean they have recently approved it down to age 5.
Yeah,
So
this is great.
the Pfizer vaccine down to age 5, which is awesome. I think that's great. But you have the same people that are saying, I don't want my kids taught critical race theory, saying that they don't want to get their kids vaccinated and they don't want to have their kids wear masks. That has nothing to do, like, on paper
I
they
don't want
don't
to
have
wear
anything.
underwear.
On paper they don't have anything to do with each other, but why is it, why is it the same people? Why are there people that are this antisocial, that are part of our society, for lack of a better term? Where does this come from? Um, I wanted to highlight, some of the things I've been seeing around the internet this week. Let me pull it up. Um, Lost track of it because I was clicking around and clicked off of it. Hang on a second. Let me go to the coffee break chat thread. There we go. So, yeah, Michael Harriot posted on Twitter. Michael Harriot is a commentator, news writer for The Root. Is often insightful. Posted on Twitter, according to the current narrative, black people somehow secretly gained control of America's education system, but instead of addressing disparities in funding, resources, and access to advanced courses, apparently we just decided to make white kids cry during social studies class. Um, I mean, this is the logic
It,
that's coming out of
it,
these groups. What?
I don't even know what to do with that. This is oh yeah, clearly that was the point. We're just trying to make white kids cry during social studies class. Yeah.
I mean, but
Yeah.
that's what all the anti-CRT, like, that's the hook in the anti-CRT argument. Like, if you watch any of the coverage from these school districts with anti-CRT people coming to their school district meetings, if you watch any of that coverage, you'll see, like, the won't you think of the kids argument is people going, "Oh, my son or my daughter," and it's actually never a boy, it's always a little girl. My little girl cried when she got home and asked me if we were bad people because we're white. Like, that is always the argument that they're trying to sell.
Well, I mean, to be perfectly frank, a lot of white people have done some embarrassingly bad things, and to just pretend that that didn't happen is like it's whitewashing. You know, this is Christopher Columbus is not a hero. Let's start with that. You know, the founding fathers, we like to look up to them on Fourth of July, but a lot of them were slave owners. And they just kind of like brushed over that because like, well, to start too many arguments if we have to solve that issue. So, yeah, all right, great. I mean,
George
those were the
Washington
times
didn't
they were
have
in,
wooden
but
teeth; he had slave teeth. Like, let's be real. Let's be real about history. Why is looking at history through the lens of how race and racism played into the establishment of our laws and systems? Why is that a bad thing? Why?
well, I mean, the whole point of history is you teach it so people don't repeat those stupid mistakes. And you have to be careful how you teach it because you don't also want to accidentally teach people racism. You know, it's a delicate conversation because if you teach about the history and you're not careful how you present it, then you're also going to model behavior that suggests it's okay to continue it. And
Well,
that's a really
speaking
hard line
of
to walk.
speaking of continuing behavior, Lauren Boebert, representative in the House of Representatives from Colorado, wore a dress modeled on AOC's dress to the Met Gala. Wore a dress to Mar-a-Lago to meet with the former president, um, shouldn't have been, that says "Let's go, Brandon" on the back. So let let's I want to dissect this one a little bit. Um, let's go, Brandon. Are we fooling? Are right wingers fooling anyone by saying "Let's go, Brandon"? Does anybody not know what they mean when they're saying "Let's go, Brandon"? Like, I know Charles, you often represent that you're not sure of what some like current social stuff is. So
Yeah. Wait, what was the question? I was reading an email.
yeah,
Sorry.
let's go, Brandon. The let's go, Brandon phrase. You know what that one is.
No.
Oh, okay. So all right. So I'll fill you in. And you let me know what in your mind this takes you back to. So let's go, Brandon. Started because during a NASCAR race, there were people in the there was an interview in Winner's Circle of the winner who happened to be named Brandon. Behind the interviewer, there was a crowd, and they were chanting "Fuck Joe Biden" loud enough to be heard on the broadcast. The interviewer, being a professional, said, "Oh, they must be chanting 'Let's go, Brandon,'" speaking to the winner, who was named Brandon. And that turned into a meme whereby everybody now says "Let's go, Brandon" in order to say "fuck Joe Biden" without saying the F word or without saying Joe Biden by name. And then
Smithers, are they booing me? No, they're saying boo earns. Boo earns.
yeah. So yes. But is this fooling anyone? No. Nobody's fooled that because when you codify language and codify an idea, most people have to be onto it. Otherwise, it makes no sense. So like if you just see people randomly around the internet saying "Let's go, Brandon," unless you understand the backstory, it makes no sense, and it doesn't bother you. And the whole point is to bother you. So, this has been repeated ad nauseum in a lot of media. And then to top off the cake, now you have people saying that they say, "Let's go, Brandon," in order to avoid censorship of not being allowed to say "fuck Joe Biden." Hey, we're on a live broadcast, and I'm saying "fuck Joe Biden," and I will say it repeatedly. I don't like Joe Biden. Like, fuck Joe Biden. Sure, go ahead and say it. You can say "fuck Joe Biden" to pretty much anyone, and nobody on the left will care. Like, nobody
No, I
will
thought
care.
that was the point of that whole Bill of Rights thing. Is like we're literally allowed to say "fuck Joe Biden" all we want. And since it's your show and you said it first, then I'll chime in. I didn't know if we were going to be trolled by the FCC for cursing or anything.
No. I mean, we're going out on YouTube. That's the most limited speech that we
Cool,
have.
we're famous.
Um, yeah, I don't. Saying the F word. Yeah, the FCC might not let me on broadcast say that during a broadcast, like during the day on TV. But that's the limitations of the FCC censorship are that you can't use a public airwaves to say stuff that is considered cursing. I don't know why. I don't know why like George Carlin.
Well,
had
there's
the,
only 7 words.
Yeah, George Carlin had the 7 magic words skit back in the day.
Yeah.
I don't know why this is still a thing. We should probably get rid of it, but anyway, even
Kids don't hear it.
Yeah, kids are gonna hear it anyway. The kids are saying it before you even like hear them say it. I mean, I'm not going to start a kids show. Like, I'm not going to do, I'm not going to suggest that you should, as part of Mystic Drums, like, do the 7 magic words skit, but...
No, once in a while I drop a frog or something, and it's really hard to train yourself not to go, oh, shit. Yeah, here's one of my frogs. This is one of the frogs that plays Larry the Frog. This is
Nice.
how we make our show happen. He's the prime mover of the plot.
Yeah.
Look at him right
Um,
there.
but
My
yeah,
best
like,
imaginary friend.
but what, so now you have a representative in the House of Representatives going to Mar-a-Lago to pose for a picture with the former president of the United States, in a dress that is codified speech for fuck Joe Biden. Can somebody explain to me, why all these people are addicted to codifying speech, um, and then addicted to censoring themselves by using that codified speech instead of just saying what they want to say?
I think the phenomenon is why do people want to stand next to power instead of be powerful themselves?
Yeah, that's a good question.
And it's like you're all sucking up to the boss, but what's he the king of, really? Boo to the king of refuse. Right? I mean, what? Oh, yeah, I'm in good with Donald Trump, biggest disgrace of a president we've ever had in our whole country. You know, like, who are you trying to impress? I don't like. So what? But the thing is, if as long as you're trying so hard to impress other people, it's like trying to be famous for having a cover band. Like, hey, let me go start a Nirvana cover band. You think I'll ever be cooler than Kurt Cobain? No. No, it's not going to work that way. So if you want power, be powerful. Use your own greatness. You know, why are we trying to impress him of all people? I mean, I guess there's people that love Trump. I don't understand them. But they exist. I guess they have a right to have their opinions and stuff. But I don't know. There's a lot of people that feel the need and the right to sway the government for their personal morals. A lot of there's certain Christian sects that a friend of mine at a sex construction shop I worked with was saying, no, it's actually our obligation to legislate morality. You know, like we want the world to be a safer, better place. We want people to be good people. So yes, laws are actually about enforcing morals. So we should, if we
But
believe
that's
in our
not
own religion.
correct. Like that's a not correct,
I
according to the Constitution. Is it's very specific about this. Like the Constitution is very very specific about, like, like, we're not legislating about morality. We're creating this body of laws to protect the people. We're
Well,
not.
and you can use similar rationalizations to say why slavery should be legal. You know, people did for a long time. I
Well,
got
I
to tell you
mean,
though,
sure, yeah, sure, yeah. The
well, it doesn't
slavery
make it
should be
right.
legal because, but that the rationalization there is obvious on its face that it's wrong if you again go back to the founding of the country and say, okay, all men are created equal. If you actually believe all men are created equal, then slavery can't exist on like prima facie can't exist. Like
Right.
it's
But
it,
some are more equal than others.
right, yeah, you can't, like, if you actually believe in the Constitution, if you actually are following what it says, then some people aren't more equal than others.
Well, and so there's people out there that think, oh, the Civil War, that's where we went wrong. What do we got to do to get that back? And then that's what they're hell bent on. You know, I'm hell bent on. I just want to hear children laughing and yelling at me for calling instruments the wrong name. Some people are hell bent on, no, the world has to bend to my will. This is my way of life. I'm used to it. It seems right to me. Well, I got to make sure that this is what happens everywhere.
Well,
So I
so
like
and
I don't
that's
understand why that should be their will, but that's what they think they want.
well, I mean, and that's what I think is the actual case. But people are always telling me, no, James, you're wrong. Like that's not what they want. That's so. Like that's why the topic of today is, what do they want? If that's not what people want, then what do they want? What is the point here? What are we trying to get to with Let's Go Brandon? Um, I don't know. Like, pretty much any leftist or left-leaning person will say, yeah, feel free to say fuck Joe Biden, but why don't you just say it? I'm a little confused why you're trying to
Yeah, go
hide
ahead.
it.
get it out in the open. Let's have a talk about it.
Yeah, yeah. So this is one thing that's been confusing and frustrating me lately. Since in my show, I just decided to talk about things that have been confusing and frustrating me lately. Um,
That's reasonable.
so the next thing is vaccine mandates. Talking about people, even in the entertainment industry, who are anti-vaccine, believe that vaccines are wrong or what have you. Um, I'm not exactly certain how that happens. Like, okay, so you're anti-vax. Why? Um, and then beyond that, that's fine. You want to be anti-vaccine, okay, fine. But then to try and argue, a lot of the time, the argument is, oh, well, you can't have vaccine mandates anyway. I mean,
Well,
look it
yes, you
up.
can.
Yeah,
Schools have
look it up.
forever.
Like it's a thing. Like
I don't
it's
remember not having vaccines required to go to schools ever.
Yeah, it's always been a thing. Like, yeah, we've had pushback against it forever as well, but sure, feel free to push back against it, but it's still a thing. Don't know where you got the idea that it wasn't a thing. Um, and it's a thing that the government can do and does do and will continue to do, because the point of our government is to protect the people. Again, the rights enumerated, and yes, this is an early document and it isn't the Constitution, but the rights enumerated in the Declaration are the rights to life, then liberty, then the pursuit of happiness, because you can't protect, sometimes in order to protect somebody's life, you have to limit their liberty, limit their pursuit of happiness. I mean, if somebody's pursuit of happiness is detrimental to everybody else's life, you have to limit their liberty to pursue their happiness in order that everybody else's life is protected. So I think it's interesting, like that when we like really analyze these things, and we have these supposed constitutional conservatives who believe in the letter and the immutability of what the founders said, that they don't recognize the actual genius of what was said, in order to protect each individual's rights, you have to protect the greater good first.
Well, it's like Spock said, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. And
And
unfortunately, we're not quite as enlightened as that as a society. But we are enlightened enough to give people the freedom of choice, and it's something we're very big on in this country. So that's actually what makes it kind of a dilemma. Uh, if you're fully behind the science of it all and paying attention to the trends of it, generally you're going to conclude, okay, this is a safer way to go. That doesn't mean there aren't reasons to conclude to the opposite. I might not be familiar with them, but the trouble with it being America here, that it's not a communist country or dictatorship, is we literally can't require everybody to do it across the board. What we can do is what we do, and we do it in pockets. Institutions can require it. Schools aren't going to let you in.
no,
I
no, no,
can't go
no.
to work.
We can't require people. We can't, like force everybody to line up and get a vaccine. But what we can do is say, okay, if you choose to not get the vaccine, and I'm highlighting that word choose there. If you choose not to get the vaccine, that's also choosing to not participate in certain things. It's like if
That's
you
exactly it.
choose not to get your driver's license, then you're choosing not to drive legally.
Right.
If you choose not to go to college, you're choosing not to have a degree. I chose not to have a degree. It doesn't bother me when, I mean, it bothers me when people are like, "Oh, you have to have a degree to do this job," and I'm like, "Yeah, no, you don't." Um,
Mm.
but but I
Yeah, you just do
chose
it.
I chose that path. And I'm not mad at the fact that society says, oh, you should have gotten a degree. I'm mad at the fact that society is like, oh, you should have gotten a great degree, and it's actually not necessary. But
Yeah.
And it costs a lot of money, and you could still be in debt from it and wondering how you're ever going to pay it off.
but still, I chose that, right? I'm not
Right.
saying that
Yeah.
society took away my right to choose just because there's all these jobs that require some sort of degree. They didn't take away my right to choose. So this is yet another frustration that I've highlighted in my personal feed. Um, I don't want people to take away my right to choose. That's the become the rallying cry for anti-CRT. It's become the rallying cry for anti-Vax. It's been co-opted from women's rights. I don't understand like what isn't translating. And I posted in my personal feed. Somebody who said, in the AV industry said, "I stand with you, girl. I will never be vaccinated, especially for a paycheck. I don't care how hard it gets. I would rather starve than allow someone to take away my freedom to choose."
Well, if you choose
Which
not to
is
get
good.
vaccinated, you're also choosing not to be welcome on a good number of job sites. And as somebody who works almost entirely in live events, I feel like, all right, go ahead and choose that because you're going to stay home and I'm going to go to work. And I need the money. I got
But
a mortgage to
but
pay.
here, but the important
But choose that and stay home and don't infect everybody else.
right, and
Like, is it good enough if you've had COVID and gotten over it? Is that every good as effective as having a vaccine in you? Because now you've got your own antibodies.
no, it's not, and it's been
Well,
proven
then
to
stay
not.
home if you're not going to get
Right.
vaccinated. You're putting everyone else at risk on the whole job site. We're already risking our lives. There's rigging overhead. People die. The guy got crushed by a forklift. There was a fire last week. Like, this is just this year, just the last half of this year.
There
Like,
were hundreds of
don't
people
add
crushed
that
at a
to it.
concert.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, people are literally risking their lives already. Don't even get me started on Alec Baldwin and all that mess.
Yeah.
Like, when people aren't doing their job safely, we're the ones at risk. And if you're going to add to that, oh, sure, and here's an infectious disease. Like, even if you have a cold, you got to stay home because a cold sends fear through the whole job site. Everyone's got to go home. Everyone's got to get tested. Everyone's going to spend 2 weeks on the couch again.
But what's
Like,
not what and what's not where is the math failing that people like this person are like, I would rather starve than allow someone to take away my freedom to choose. Where is the math failing that they're like not realizing that their choice is taking away other people's freedom of choice? Like that they're actively making a choice not to get vaccinated, and that they're arguing to be allowed to take other people's choice away from them in not being exposed to a virus, a deadly virus.
but they did say they'd rather starve. I just think we should take them up on that. If they actually mean it, okay, fine.
But
Starve,
but
stay home
they're
from the
putting
get another job instead.
they're putting false equivalency of they'd rather starve than allow somebody to take away their freedom of choice. But they're exercising their freedom of choice.
Right. They're not actually being required by law to be an American citizen. You must get vaccinated or your citizenship expires. It's nothing like that. It's, well, okay, this store says you got to have a mask to come in. You don't have a mask, you're not coming in. This store doesn't ask for your vaccine card. But this job site may not ask for a mask and is asking for a vaccine card. And it probably still has mask requirements to it. But like, actors, stage performers, musicians, we take our masks off when we perform. So there's different rules for each scenario. But yeah, your choice is to not participate. Because within that gate, whatever the gate is, everybody on the other side of the gate needs some degree of guarantee of safety. Or else they're not coming to work either.
Well, not to mention, these are also the same people that like think that employers should be able to basically fire anybody for any reason, which like which includes like, oh, they had to like take off and take care of their child, but like the employer can't fire you because you don't want to like do the right thing to make people safe. Like that's pretty dumb.
And I'm currently flagging a bunch of idiotic posts on my YouTube live feed because there's a person posting a bunch of incorrect information, which I'm not going to repeat, but
Oh,
every
that's
single
fun.
thing that they've posted has been incorrect. So, um,
Did they stop by for the argument clinic?
I
I'm
guess so.
Irish. I'm good at this.
No, no, no.
No
I
problem.
mean,
Let's see.
I'm not even going to argue this. This is all. So this is all incorrect stuff. Like like just all incorrect. Like it is really stupid incorrect stuff. Like why are we even going to ignore? So this is akin to one of the things that I saw. Like what was it? Arguing in good faith with people who are anti-CRT is just amplifying the argument. Where's that tweet? Um, Let me find it. But yeah, it's there's no arguing in good faith with some of these folks, and there's no point to trying to argue in good faith with it.
Well,
Um,
the axiom is never argue with a fool. But the question, I think, is are there any good arguments from the other side for not getting. I mean, I have heard a few good reasons for
Sure,
not getting vaccinated.
there's good arguments for not getting vaccinated. These are not amongst them. But the good argue, I'll allow people a few good arguments if you want to borrow some good arguments. Don't argue with a person of color about vaccinations or medical decisions. Never argue with a person of color about vaccinations or medical decisions because their choice is more valid than your choice for them, and you do not understand the level of trauma and social understanding that that person of color is using to make their choice. Um, there's still consequences to that choice. You don't want to get vaccinated because you are rightly suspicious of the medical ecosystem that exists in the world today, which is not friendly to people of color and to women. Um, then make that choice. But it still has consequences. You can't just not get vaccinated and then show up on a job site and expect to not tell people that you're not vaccinated, or expect that you don't have to disclose that you're not vaccinated. There is no um, right to privacy around uh, public health emergency. The public good, again, our almost every law in our system is designed to protect the public good over the individual, because that's what a society is. uh, I mean, I've been having this argument on an AV board, and the poster kept citing HIPAA. Well, first of all, they cited it wrong because it's not HIPPA, it's HIPAA. And then, second of all, it doesn't have anything to do with individuals and employers. It has to do with your doctor and their third party providers. They can't share information with, say, your life insurance company without your permission. That's what HIPAA protects. It doesn't protect you against your employer asking if you're vaccinated. Um, then they moved on to, oh, you can't ask somebody's AIDS status. No, I can't ask somebody's AIDS status if it has no bearing on their job. But if you're doing a job um, where you might expose your coworkers or your customers to HIV, you can bet your ass that your employer can ask your HIV status and can verify that HIV status through a test. Um,
Well, I
that,
think your rights end where another person's begin. I learned that the hard way when I got a drum set and lived out in the suburbs. And, if people down the street have a kid going to bed at 8:30 and their windows are open and my windows are open, I'm impeding their kid's ability to go to bed at 8:30 by playing my drum set at 9.
I don't know, or I say the kid just grows a pair and like learns how to sleep through the drums. But that's
Well,
just
that's how I felt about it. And to this day, I agree with you. And actually, I've studied this phenomenon at festivals. Drum circles actually help children sleep better at festivals at night. I've observed that at Peck's Summerfest over the course of several years. Sometimes we got stuck right next to kiddie camp, and they actually really liked it in the end.
although
The
it
fact is that the parents down the street felt differently about it, and it was every bit their right to have a quiet suburban lifestyle as it was mine to make noise. But when my noise making impinged on their rights, then the police stepped in and said, no, you can't do this. So, okay, well, I am actually infringing on their expectations of a quiet lifestyle that they came out there to live.
well,
although
So,
most drum circles are horrible. Can we just say that?
what's
I'm
that?
sure yours isn't, but most are just horrible.
Yeah, well, yes, we
yeah,
can. I mean,
maybe.
I will cop to the idea that most drum circles are.
Yeah, and everyone's got to be bad sometimes, and everyone's got to be young sometimes, too.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
what do you do when both sides are right? That's why disagreements take so long to resolve sometimes. Uh, I think that the anti-vax sentiment is kind of a war on a feeling, and it's as ambiguous as the war on terror. Like, oh, we're gonna get terror, we're gonna destroy fear. What? No, you're not. So, it's kind of an information war, and it's a sensationalist feeling war, where like, we could talk endlessly about who's got a right to what and what the law should be. But at the end of the day, it really comes down to the data. Like the virus doesn't care what we think. And what I've seen happen already is people that are vaccinated spreading around the Delta variant. You know, that is real. People who should be immune go to a party where somebody falsified and vaccinated people got sick and brought it home. Like we took 2 weeks off of band practice because of a scare with Swing That Cat over this scenario. And each of us tested negative, but I could feel my body processing it too. So there's like always there's two sides of it, feelings wise, but the actual data will tell the real story.
Well, I mean,
And
like I have family who, are all vaccinated and Delta variant went through part of my family who are distanced from us, but people are getting the Delta variant and the statistics show that people who get the Delta variant, it's less of a chance of getting the Delta variant if you're vaccinated. It's also far less risk of serious illness and almost infinitesimal risk of death if you have the vaccination versus if you're unvaccinated. Um, but yeah,
well, it's
anyway.
like the flu. You get enough flu shots in a row, and then you skip one year, and here comes the next one, and it's a real whammy. But you're okay with that because your body has like 39 other flu shots behind it, and it's able to make an antibody that's pretty close.
Yeah, yeah,
I
and pretty
still gotta
quick.
do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I guess just, people not understanding how things work. But then, we get into the conversation of, well, Democrats and liberals always try and educate people into the reality of the world. And then a bunch of, and the Republican way is all about gut feelings and what is right, and you're never going to educate people out of that. So I don't know.
You
Well,
know,
how do
that's
you
why they're
fearmonger people
winning.
into taking the vaccine then? That's what it's got to be.
Right. No, I don't think, and I don't think that's a possibility.
Nobody likes that feeling. And it's, I mean, it's too close to communist dictatorships for our taste. So that's, I mean, the battle is against the feeling. It's not about facts and science.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, you get all these people with anti-facts, the opposite of facts. And I don't know, I don't even understand where you all pick all this bullshit up. Like, I did, like, do people just randomly decide to say shit? Like, somebody said on a forum the other day that actually, the people who are getting vaccinated are still getting the Delta variant at a higher rate than people who are unvaccinated. I'm like, where do you even come up with that?
Well, if you're going to quote statistics, you should probably cite your sources.
I mean, I'm not citing sources either, but I know the statistics are right.
No, but you're not citing statistics that are wackadoodle either.
Right.
What you're saying is common knowledge, and if it's wrong, somebody should challenge that. But if you're saying something that's way out in left field, then cite your sources. This is what we learned in school. Come on, where's your bibliography? You're even allowed to use website links now.
Which is a danger in and of itself, because anybody can put anything on the internet. Anyway, all right, it's 11:03. I've had a lovely chat with you guys.
Hi, hello, welcome to Coffee Talk. I'm getting all verklempt. Discuss amongst yourselves.
Discuss. We didn't even get to Dana Chanel, but Dana Chanel is a BIPOC grifter. So we'll talk about that in the future, or you can review some of the coverage that we have on our website. The Marshmallow Man.
There he is, just so you all know.
Come out to see live some shows with Styx Latte at the Rotunda, or the Rotunda is live streaming a lot of their shows. So give the do you have the URL for the Rotunda? Could you give the URL for the Rotunda's shows to
Well, the easy thing to do is just search the Rotunda YouTube channel. You'll know it's the Rotunda because it's a West Philly classic building. It's round on the front. And just go look at the videos tab. Because the videos, anything that looks like it was done here, basically. I mean, you can see I just put up my behind the scenes screen here, and anything that's chroma keyed out, basically there's a background. These are stills, but we use moving backgrounds for the shows and switch them up. So anything that looks like that with all the torsos of band members is probably an Electric Latte Land video. We had Elliot Levin with the Satellites Quintet. We had Samantha Hollins with Ghetto Songbird. We had Jen Jeffries with Music Over Matter. We had my own act, the Electric Latte Boogie Band. That was a lot of fun. That was all improv. Swing That Cat was in February, so that you might have to search a little deeper for that. Calvin Weston, Groovescape Project, that was a lot of fun too. So any of those titles you can find on the videos tab at the Rotunda's YouTube channel. Just search the Rotunda YouTube and you should be able to find it from there.
All right,
We got Sylvia
switch back to your
coming up.
1-up so I can go back to my 3-up.
Cool.
Yeah, and Styx, switch back to your 1-up. Switch back to your 1-up.
Let's see. Let's
There
go
you
back
go.
to. Well, I wanted to show you this one because I got this cool green screen trick. See, I got Reggie there. He's hanging out in the swimming pool, and I just put the shirt over, and he's gone. So by the time we get to this scene, I bring him out,
Yeah.
and then he jumps around a bit, and then later on, I get rid of the towel. We go to China, and then we got 3 drums for everyone to hang out on.
Nice.
So this is sort of nonsense we do here.
Nice. And so yeah, go see a Mystic Drum Show in person, and if I'm not mistaken, to attend a show at the Rotunda, you do have to show proof of vaccination and wear a mask. Yep. So wear your mask, show proof of vaccination, or attend online. It's your choice. I like that word again, choice.
Tickets are sometimes limited. We can only have 50 people in the building at the rotunda, including the cast and crew. So, if you're interested in something, find out about it ahead of time. Follow up on Facebook. Email Gina at therotunda.org. She knows everything.
Awesome. And thank you, Charles. Thank you, Styx, for joining me this morning. I'm going to go to a one-up of me, and we're going to talk you guys out. So, any last thoughts, Charles?
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you to my viewers. Thank you to those people who decided to comment on the YouTube channel, even though your comments were stupid and idiotic. I appreciate them because it gives me something to do during the show. I can go over and mute you and delete your comments that are totally not based in any sort of fact, or that are in fact calling us names for being up here on screen and expressing our opinions and viewpoints. I hate to tell you, Tyrone, but a beta man is somebody who tries to anonymize themselves behind a comment on the internet instead of coming up on screen and telling you who they are, what their pronouns are, and what they believe in. Yeah, fuckhead. Anyway, and that's my right to choose. I choose to call you a fuckhead, and I choose to delete your comment off the YouTube feed.
That is going to be gone.
Oh no, I'll let you see it. It's already gone, but yeah.
Just send me a
it was
screenshot.
it was a simple one. These are beta men. Apparently, we're all beta men. I don't know.
I'm a beta man. Yeah. Who is
Fine.
it I'm answerable to? Now, I'm on the Frank Zappa business plan. I got divorced. I'm just me in my house now here. Who am I answering to?
I don't know.
I'd like to know.
We're all apparently answering to somebody. That's fine. I'm an entrepreneur and business person, and
Let me know when he shows up.
I run a live broadcast where I express my opinions freely. Styx is a independent business person, a performer. He runs several live broadcasts and in-person performances where he expresses his opinion freely. Charles, I have to say, doesn't do any of these performance things, but does come on this broadcast and expresses his opinion freely, and expresses his opinion freely at work, as far as I've ever been told. From our conversations. So, all right, thanks, guys. I brought you back on screen for a sec, but I'm going to take you back off.
Yay!
Anyway.
Just
Okay, one last thing.
Always follow your dreams and don't let anyone tell you what you can't do for a living, because I'm here to show you otherwise.
Yeah, seriously.
And even if you're stuck down in a pandemic, you can still make plans to improve your life. So do whatever it is you can, do it.
Yeah, be alpha. Do what you want to do. And speak your mind, because nobody's gonna stop you. Literally, nobody's trying to stop you. Nobody cares. So yeah, I'll continue screaming into the void over here. All right. So thank you again to my guests. Thank you again to all those watching on the YouTube. We appreciate the engagement, even if it's silly. And feel free to engage in a positive manner too. We love good comments. We love the comments that we receive on Facebook. We're also on Twitch, Twitter, and we'll figure out how to get on Instagram one of these days. And we won't be back next week. We're taking the week off next week. We've got a show in Chicago that I need to pay attention to, and so I won't be here, but I will be back the week after that. We have another great show for you, so tune in week after next on the 24th, 10 a.m. We'll be live again, and hope to see you then. Enjoy your week, everybody.